Have you ever heard that quote that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting to see different results? That is kind of what real estate feels like. Like, have you ever felt like you're doing the same thing day in and day out, or you're working toward a goal, and the goalpost just seems to get further? Those clients keep pushing out their timeline. You finally get that one under contract, and then you get the news that the inspection was an absolute crapshoot, and you gotta start from scratch. This is what real estate can feel like for a lot of us, especially in seasons like we're seeing today. And so I want to talk about a couple of surefire signs that will show you that your business is on the right track, even when it doesn't feel like it. So that way you can have more confidence that you are doing the right things to move the needle in your business, and that ultimately you will see the results that you're working towards. If you have found your way here, you are a real estate pro who's ready to transition from chasing leads to getting dream clients to chase you. This podcast is where you will learn the business and systems strategies you need to grow your real estate business so that you can get paid consistently, connect with dream clients, and keep your sanity. So welcome back to the Market Authority Show. I am your host, Stephanie Lugo, and I am constantly talking to real estate agents every single week about this topic exactly. So in my coaching program, the Market Authority Academy, we have small group, intimate, very collaborative coaching calls that happen every single week. And what that allows me to do is not only roll up my sleeves and actually help my agents get the right work done, but it also allows me to get a sense of what they're actually doing and what is yielding them the best results. And I think that is a really important place for us to look and pay attention to in order to judge whether or not we are going to see the results that we're looking for in our real estate business. The first thing that I want to cover during this conversation with you is the importance of recognizing progress and what does progress actually look like in real estate? Because you might have realized by now that progress rarely looks like just closings and new leads in. Sometimes progress looks like actually following through with what you said you were going to do, or completing that habit 4 times out of 5 in this week, right? So we can't let our perception of our day-to-day impact the reality of what's actually happening. And the best way to do that is understanding what progress looks like. When we are focusing on the right metrics that show us whether or not we're making progress, it's a lot easier to deal with the no's and rejections that just comes from a life in sales, right? So let's just look at open houses, for example. Let's say you're holding open houses and you're doing that really consistently because open houses are one of your main lead sources. And you might hold an open house and have 10 people walk through. 5 of them are represented by an agent, and 1 of them is actually nice enough to have a meaningful conversation with you and willing to see what you have to offer as a real estate agent. Well, that means that you had 1 out of 10 people actually be receptive to your service. Well, what happens the following weekend when you hold an open house again and only 5 people come through and none of them are interested in talking to you? That can feel like a step backwards, right? It can almost feel demoralizing, and that why did I even choose to spend my time here on this day doing an open house when I could have been doing literally anything else? Well, what happens is we have to play the numbers game. We have to identify what that metric needs to look like in your real estate business. So for me, let's say we're talking about open houses again. If you're generating enough leads, I would look at that and say, well, at some point, we're going to be able to understand how many no's we have to get through to get to a yes. And in the example that I just gave you, you might need to go through 14 people until you get to 1 person who's willing to talk to you. And at that point, it's just a simple matter of going through as many no's until you get to that next yes. And you can apply this principle to just about any part of your real estate business, okay? So as you see, the metric that is measuring our progress is not necessarily the number of deals that we're closing here. It's the number of interactions that we're getting in our real estate business that eventually are going to get us to that closed opportunity. It's a shift in perception. It's the exact same reason why I would really talk to somebody who was thinking to farm and I'm really wanting to get a foothold in this neighborhood. And so my approach to that is to blast out one round of mailers and see what I can get from it. That, in my opinion, might get you some brand awareness, but ultimately it's not going to pay you. It's not going to be the thing that's going to bring you a bunch of opportunities. Now, if you came to me and said, Stephanie, I'm going to give myself 18 months. Every month I'm going to mail to this community, and in between them I'm going to be hosting in-person events, doing some door knocking, holding open houses, and making sure to get as many in-person interactions as possible. And I'm going to see what that yields after 18 months. That is a plan. That is a plan that has measurable metrics that we can track to see the results. The metrics are: how many mailers have you done? How many face-to-faces have you gotten from door knocking, right? How many open houses have you held, and how many people did you meet at those open houses? Tell me about your events. How did the events go? Which ones are more fruitful than others? Then at the end of those 18 months, can we measure whether or not it was worth it? It's the long game. You're in real estate. You are not in real estate to see immediate overnight success. You're in real estate to see the long-term results of pouring into a community to see the return on that investment. Again, it's a shift in perspective. So how can you shift how you are recognizing progress today? I would really, really encourage you to focus on tracking progress that you can control. You cannot necessarily control how many leads say yes, but you can control how many interactions you're having each day that ultimately will lead to an average number of leads. All right, so maybe that looks like: how many conversations are you initiating each day? How many times are you posting to social media in the right places, the right platforms each week? How many times are you putting yourself in a position to get lucky, right? Have a luck strike and have that perfect client walk in who absolutely gels with you and is so excited to hire you as a realtor. Okay, so now we know how to track what is actually progress. Now we know what to be measuring and paying attention to. Let's talk about some key signs that show that your business is going to be on the right track. So the first one is going to be consistent client engagement. Consistent client engagement. Now, what does that mean? As we are interacting with clients, how often are you getting in front of them? Okay. Now, consistent client engagement does not necessarily mean how many times are your clients reaching out to you with referrals in hand. More so, it's how many times are you reaching out to your clients and then initiating a meaningful dialogue where they are totally engaged with you. So, for example, if I'm looking to get more referrals from my database, I'm not going to sit there and wait for the referrals to flood my inbox, because that's not their job. Honestly, it's not my friends and family and past clients' job to just send me referrals because I feel like I'm owed that, even if I did a really good job on their transaction, if I did help them buy or sell a house. Instead, it is my job to stay top of mind, to stay engaged, and to stay in front of my people. So how am I meaningful engaging with my clients to create engagements and interactions? Are you reaching out to your people on a daily basis? Is that part of your daily prospecting flow? So for example, in the Market Authority Academy, we coach real estate agents through having an airtight prospecting flow. And we give them a sequence of people to reach out to. So on Monday, reach out to these people. On Tuesday, reach out to these people. On Wednesday, do this, and so on. And ultimately, what we want to see as a result of that are 10 meaningful client interactions, or, maybe not clients, but just 10 meaningful real estate related interactions every single day. And if they are doing that, they are going to meet and exceed their goals. Regular interactions with your community, with past clients and current clients and future clients, indicate that your business is moving in the right direction, even if you're not immediately seeing the results. And by results, I mean new leads, new referrals, and new transactions closed. So another indicator that your real estate business is moving in the right direction is positive client feedback. And this might sound kind of obvious, right? Of course, we want to see a great review. Of course, we want to hear that our clients are happy with our service. It's kind of the whole point, right? But we really want to focus on the positive client feedback that we're getting in one of two ways. Number one, if you are seeing that your clients are giving you positive feedback throughout the transaction and also giving you a positive review at the end, then they recognize the work that you are putting into their experience and they appreciate it. That means they're a good fit client, meaning they are going to be grateful for the work that you're putting in and they're happy with it and they recognize the efforts. That's really important. But number two, if they are giving you that feedback unsolicited, then that means that they're excited enough about it to share, right? So that means that they're probably having conversations with people in their world, in their communities, about this process they're going to. Maybe you're working with a client who is currently in a rental and they know they want to buy at the end of their lease, which is 6 months from now. So you're in front of them and you're providing them a lot of support. You're going all in and educating them, getting them hooked up with a lender, helping them navigate just that process to getting prepared to make their big first-time home purchase. That's 6 months of time that you can be really pouring into their client experience that can make them want to have that conversation with others. Maybe the next time they're speaking to a friend who's in a similar position, they're talking about the fact that they're getting ready to purchase their first home, and it starts up a conversation. And they say, yeah, my agent has been just so amazing through this whole, I don't know how they're just sticking with me through this process, but they are. And they've been so patient and they never make me feel dumb for asking the questions that I feel like I should know the answer to. Like, that's what's happening even when we don't see it. And that is the kind of conversation that will lead to a referral down the line. Really important stuff to track. Now, if you're not seeing a lot of this like spontaneous feedback from your clients and they're just kind of going through the motions, you might need to remind them that you thrive on that feedback, right? We might need to show them what that feedback looks like, right? So maybe during the transaction or during the process when you are interacting with them, you're saying little coded words like, I hope that this is kind of meeting your expectations, or I know this has been a really challenging time and I know this is taking a lot of effort. You guys are doing so great and I hope I'm doing everything I can to help meet your needs, and please let me know if I am or if I need to adjust. Simple call to actions like that can help elicit the feedback that you're looking for to make sure that you're on the right track, because that positive feedback and those reviews are a sure sign of potential referrals. Okay, so number 3, the other sign that your business is on the right track is your pipeline. We want to see a growth in your pipeline. And I want to explain what that means. So there's 2 ways to think about growing your real estate business. You can think about one client at a time, right? Like you close one client and you're immediately looking for the next opportunity. And every time you get that new client, you're holding them like a little baby bird in your hands and just you don't want to lose that opportunity. So it's the only thing that you focus on, instead of also making time and efforts to fill up your pipeline with clients that you'll need down the line. What happens is a lot of real estate agents are so focused on those right now deals because they feel that thirsty need to get a closing and get that commission that they overlook the potential of a client who might need 3, 6, or 12 months of nurturing before they're ready to close. But instead, a really successful, consistent real estate business that's going to pay you every single month is a business that is generating business for right now and for 12 months down the line. So what does that look like? I want to make sure that I am generating leads that are ready to go within the next 30 days and 6 months from now and 12 months from now. Now we can track that just by the leads that we're generating. So if you have a solid number of lead sources and you're getting a varied different type of lead from each, you're going to ultimately start to notice trends like, oh, my open house leads definitely take about 6 months to close. I'm in that situation right now where we had an open house lead from January who we're finally under contract with today in June. I'm going to knock on wood on that one. But that's 6 months that it's taking to close this one lead. That's pretty typical for open house leads. Now, you might have a referral who comes to you warmed up and ready to go. They probably already know specifically what neighborhood they want to be in. They just need your help to make it happen. That is going to be a lead that's going to close within the next 30 to 45 days. Awesome. Maybe even further, you're also getting some internet leads. Maybe you've been really working on like your YouTube channel or your social media presence, and you find that you're really getting skilled at generating leads that are like 12 months down the line, maybe 6 to 12 months down the line, somewhere in there. And that is another really great sign. That is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes I have real estate agents who bring that to me and they're like, well, I'm getting all these clients and stuff, but they're just nowhere near ready to go. That is okay. A really responsible, consistent business is generating business for today and for next year, because we still want to be in business next year. We need those opportunities in place. The only difference is are you going to be organized enough to actually close them, to follow up for that amount of time, provide value over 6 to 12 months to ultimately close that client, right? So track your pipeline metrics, track the number of leads that you're coming in, or that you're bringing in rather, and make sure that you know that you're getting business over a wide range of time in terms of time that they need to close, so that you know you're not going to be starting over after every deal. Okay, the next sign that I want to share are your process improvements. Your process improvements. We want to make sure that we are making time to focus on our processes and workflows in our real estate business and making refinements as we go. So for example, if you are still behaving and reacting to business the way you were in 2021 and 2022, when it was a seller's frenzy and it was hitting the fan every day, if you're still running your processes like that and your market is no longer in that same state, then you are way off track. You need to be sure that you are spending time to iterate your processes and workflows to constantly meet the needs of the market. The market is changing so frequently. And because the market is changing and your clients' needs are changing and you might be changing too, you do have to make sure that you are updating your processes once you find that they no longer are working for you. So for example, if you find that you spent time uploading a CRM email sequence to help assist with follow-up. So you have your follow-up and you have your clients that you're reaching out to. Maybe you recognize that you need a longer-term nurture sequence for your leads. So you get an email template sequence that goes over 6 months and you're implementing it. If you find that's no longer working the same way, or it's just not landing, you're not getting responses, you're not getting a reciprocated engagement from those leads, you need to refine that process. If it's not working, you do need to fix it. If you find that your routines that served you really well in the height of the market in 2022 are now just causing more disorder and chaos in your days, then you need to be refining that. And so if you are doing a really good job of tracking what's working and what's not in your business, then you should know that that is a great sign that you are on the right track, because that means that you're paying attention to the things that are going to lead you to the results you want to see and help you move away from things that you don't want to be experiencing. Now, we do this in a couple of different ways. So each month we have a little bit of a monthly review to see what happened and what we need to change. Now, we then plan the following month. We plan our priorities and we make sure that we are paying attention to the things that need addressing. If something breaks in our business, right? If something just like fails and causes a rift in a client experience, if we drop the ball on something that was important and we're like, how did that even happen? Then that is a sign for us to make that update and make that iteration and make it right. So those tiny things, those tiny little shifts in how you're approaching your business can really be such a great indicator that you are on the right track. Okay, the last key here is that you are learning and adapting. And it kind of goes in line with the last tip that I mentioned, right? But it is so important that you are paying attention to the ebbs and flows of the world around you, especially when you are in business for yourself. I have had over the last couple of years with very seasoned real estate agents who have a ton of experience closing transactions, but the world changed so fast around them that they didn't really pay attention to things like emerging technologies and AI and social media. And instead they woke up one day and realized that they were so out of touch with what their clients experienced that they had no option but to backtrack and start way back from the beginning. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is a really painful place to be for these very seasoned agents who have so much to offer the industry, but feel like their voice is not being heard because they are not up to the level that newer, fresher agents are already at. And so you don't want that to happen to you if you're in this for the long run. You want to make sure that you are attending classes, that you are paying attention to emerging technologies and learning how to take these changes and seasonal shifts and turn them into your advantage. Like one example is the NAR settlement that is happening this year. So here in the US, there's a pretty significant shift in really how we're going to be doing some things around the transaction. And when this news came out in the spring of 2024 with the details on what we should expect in this change, when those details came out, there was a lot of fear and a lot of pushback and almost a lot of like denial in terms of how that was going to change how people show up, how real estate agents show up. And I think that that's just the wrong approach. Like we have to be curious and open to change, and we have to have an outlook of things are going to change no matter what. So how can I use that to my advantage, and how can I ride that wave with my real estate business? If you're doing that, if you're open to learning and adapting, I am telling you, you are leagues ahead of real estate agents who would rather bury their head in the sand and act like it won't impact them, only to find that surely it does. Now, these are all small incremental changes, and together as they accumulate, they create a giant shift in your real estate business. And I want to just go through these one more time. Number one, we're looking for consistent client engagement. We are initiating the outreach and we're hearing back from them. Number two, we're getting that positive client feedback. And if we're not, we're trying to drum it up ourselves, okay? Number three, we're looking for that pipeline growth. So we're generating business for today and for next year. Number four, process improvements. So as soon as something breaks, we're going to fix it. We're going to make sure to iterate and evolve our processes to meet the demands of today. To learning and adapting as the economy, as the market, as the world continues to shift underneath our feet. All right? That is the stuff that we're looking for. And I don't want you to think that those are not big things, because they feel like very granular topics to cover. But if you think about the analogy of the ice cube in a cup of water, right? Let's say you have a cup of water with an ice cube sitting in it, and the room is very, very cold. That ice cube will remain a frozen ice cube all the way up until 31 degrees. After it hits 32 degrees, just 1 degree of difference, and then 33 degrees, another degree of difference, surely that ice cube will melt. It takes just one tiny nudge over the edge to change, or a physical reaction rather, to that ice cube and for it to melt. And I want you to think about your real estate business like this as well. If you're not seeing those immediate results, if you're not seeing exactly what you want to see, focus on the things that you can control. Focus on those 1 to 2 degrees of a difference that you can make in your business and in your life that ultimately will put you on the trajectory for where you want to be. That is how we unlock the secret to success in real estate, in my opinion. It's not a stroke of luck. It's not a sweet hookup, although those do exist. Instead, it's focusing on what we can control and just focusing on more of those right things every single day. I hope that this resonated with you. And if you want to take a moment to take this even further and really start to focus on the things you can control and get yourself more organized, get on the right priorities in your real estate business so that you can shut out the noise, shut out the overwhelm, and just get the right work done, then I've got a sweet free training for you. We just did this a couple of weeks ago. We got amazing feedback for it, and I want to invite you to check it out. The replay is available now. Those details are in the show notes of this episode, and it is brand new content from me that I really feel like is going to fit perfectly with where you're at in business right now. So get that free training. You can absolutely invest 60 minutes of time into your business today to see a change in your trajectory, and that is going to be your ticket to do it. Thank you so much as always for tuning in, and until next time, keep on crushing it.